Yo, what's up, everybody? How we doing? How we feeling?
Welcome in to The Hop with Gabe and Steven. We are Gabe and Steven.
If you haven't figured that out yet.
Round 58, AleSmith Brewing. We're going back.
Sunny San Diego.
Sunny California.
You stay classy, San Diego.
We're bringing him back.
We
gotta
back.
have him
Our
back.
boy's back.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited about it. This is a brewery that has been around for a long time. This is one that you probably have heard of. This is a staple on the West Coast.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of this, but I don't think I've ever had one of their beers. So this is new for me. So this will be fun. I'm excited for this.
They're international. They make some of the best West Coast IPAs. I mean, their West Coast IPA, which we're drinking today, spoiler alert, is one of the most top-rated West Coast IPAs that you like on the internet that you can find. So it's
absolutely, yeah. And their beers are pretty strong. That we're gonna find out. So I made sure to eat before this because I saw the first one. I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's normal. And then I saw the second one and I went, there it is.
Baby.
That's gonna be the one to put us over.
Are you new here? Are you new to the hop? Well, welcome. We're talking directly to you. This is a craft beer podcast. We drink beer. We have fun. That's all there is to it. You can find the show on Instagram and Twitter. We're at the HO Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. And that's probably the thing you want to do right now is head over to YouTube and check that out. See our smiling faces, see the beers that we're drinking, see the cans, have some fun with us visually. And
click that bell to subscribe.
Yeah, click that bell, get a notification every week when a new episode drops. And if you're over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we love you too. And you can subscribe on there as well and leave us a rate and review. We love it. It helps the show, helps us make the show better. And a better show is really better for you. So it's a selfish move on your part to rate the show and
help us help you. That's basically what we're asking for.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, give us those reviews. Let us know what breweries to hit next. Let us know if we should repeat any breweries. Let us know if there are any fun news and notes that we might be missing. I mean, we're able to get our hands on most of it, but you know, maybe there's something we haven't heard of.
You could be a hop reporter.
Hey, listen.
You could be
the hop liaison for us, and
we're
that would be
crowdsourcing our research.
That would be great. It would be awesome.
Speaking of that, let's do the news.
Beer news.
Okay. All right. So here's the deal, guys. It was both a slow week in beer news and also a huge week in beer news. So we have sort of a giant story involving Boulevard Brewing. There was some drama that we're gonna just break down for you right now. Boulevard Brewing, first of all, we love their beers. They have been on the show before, about this time last year for our Super Bowl episode. Well, Boulevard Brewing found out that the power of Reddit is real this week. Who knew? GameStop does. Anyway, on January 23rd, a former employee of Boulevard Brewing shared details of alleged harassment and pregnancy discrimination against her while she was working for the company. It kind of took off. It was a Reddit post entitled Boulevard Brewing Company and Women. And the former employee details numerous instances of sexual harassment, a blatant failure by HR to address the issue adequately, and things of that nature, as well as discrimination against women for promotions and hiring. Boulevard initially responded to this by basically dismissing it, saying they were taking the allegations seriously, but that an internal investigation had found there was no harassment, no discrimination. And also, CEO Jeff Crum, apparently in a virtual meeting with employees, said that he was frankly angry at the women for bringing this up, which is just a horrible response, Jeff.
Cool,
yeah,
Jeff.
Great. Anyway, moving on, the next day, Boulevard changed their stance. They announced that an outside firm would be hired to investigate the claims. Shortly thereafter, the CFO... This kind of just is like this rapidly developing story. the CFO ended up resigning, and the next day, both CEO Jeff Crum as well as Boulevard's VP of Marketing resigned and announced their departure from the company. They will be headed for the time being by John McDonald. John McDonald is the man that started Boulevard Brewing. He founded the company, and he had sold them to Duvel Mortgott in 2013. Duvel Mortgott, of course, is the European company that also owns Ommegang and Firestone Walker in the United States. So anyway, he's going to be taking over for the time being. Boulevard had planned to brew a beer in honor of International Women's Day in March. It's not clear whether that's still going to happen. Executives haven't decided what's next for them, but there's clearly a lot of soul searching going on at Boulevard Brewing. Collaborations with other breweries are currently on hold. And apparently Michael Mortgott or Michel Mortgott, don't know how to say that. He's European. But he is the CEO of Duvel Mortgott, and he plans to come to Kansas City as soon as possible. But this is a story of employees on Reddit taking a stand against something that, I mean, if you are interested in reading the complaints, like I said, the original post was entitled Boulevard Brewing Company and Women. It's on Reddit. There's a subsequent Reddit post from employees at Boulevard that basically said the power had been returned to the people. You can read about these allegations. They are, it's long and extensive, and I'm not going to go into all of it here. One complaint involved a restraining order and the police getting involved. I mean, it goes back, and it seems like there was some serious systemic issues going on at Boulevard Brewing, which sucks because, like I said, we really love their beer. So
yeah, we do, and we hope that they clean this up.
Yeah, this is
clean it up, fellas.
This is the second biggest Reddit story of the week, but yeah. So anyway, the employees said, and I'm quoting from their posts now: "The people have spoken, and we promise to stay loud when it comes to doing what's right. We are taking our brewery back." So,
amen.
Yeah. Just something to keep an eye on. Quickly developing story out of Kansas City.
In other news, we're staying on a little bit of the darker side, unfortunately. There was an explosion and a fire at the Victory Tap Room. It happened about last Monday around 6:30 p.m. It was their Pennsylvania Brew Pub in Kennett Square, but residents of the apartment complex were forced to quickly evacuate, and unfortunately, the building has been deemed as structurally unstable due to the fire. The damage, as well as the cause of the blaze, is still being determined. They're not exactly sure what happened there. The taproom was closed for business at the time, and no injuries were reported, which is great to hear. We are another brewery that we featured, Victory. We loved their beers. Their Golden Monkey Ale was one of the popular ones. This is very hard for us to hear. We hope the brewery is okay. We're very glad to hear no injuries were reported and no one was there. But hopefully they can get back on their feet and fix that building because they make good beer.
Yeah, this is one location of Victory, has several locations. This is one tap room, and I think, like you said, the headline here is the tap room was closed at the time, no injuries, but it is part of this giant building, and above it are a whole bunch of apartments. And while thankfully, everyone got out and was okay, they can't go home. So yeah.
Very unfortunate to hear.
Negative week in beer news, man.
We got one last thing, and we made this part of the news just because we wanted to pick our spirits up a little bit before we got back into before we got back into the yucks. There's big news happening if you are involved in Nashville beer in Tennessee. The parent company of Hap and Harry's Tennessee Beer, R.S. Lippman Brewing, is acquiring Little Harpeth and Turtle Anarchy. They are going to be all conducted as three separate breweries, but one big association, if you will.
Conglomerate.
They're under the umbrella.
Yeah.
They are taking over with the deals. Little Harpeth founder Michael Quass will now serve as sales manager for R.S. Lippman. And former Little Harpeth sales representative Davey Spohr is also joining the Lippman companies in a sales role. Little Harpeth is known for their focus on German-style lagers, and brothers Andrew Camp and Mark Camp founded Eternal Anarchy in Franklin in 2012. As I said, all the breweries are going to stay the same. You know, their identity, their recipe, their name, it's all going to be the same, but it's just another way to get all the Tennessee beer drinkers together, and everyone involved is super excited about it. And we're going to end the news and notes on this positive upkeep. So there we go.
I've never heard of any of these places, but I hear that the hop is really big in Nashville, Tennessee. So
dude,
I think
we're blowing up in Nashville. All of the photos I've seen online, all of the employees look thrilled. They're holding up beer with big smiles on their faces. But yeah, apparently these 3 breweries are kind of staples in Nashville. So
nice.
If you're in the area, check them out.
I propose a little toasty toast.
Here we go.
We're going to get sophisticated today.
Let's get real. Let's get raw.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. The horse and the cow live 30 years. They never touch light wine or beers. Sheep and goats are dead at 20. They drink no liquor, water plenty. At 10, the cat has lost 9 lives. Meow. On milk and water, no beast thrives. At 5, the birds are mostly dead. They look not on the wine that's red. Bugs, a few days remain on earth. They do not know the cocktail's worth. But awful, wicked, rum-soaked men live on for 70 years and 10. Cheers.
I want you to be completely honest with me right now. Did you write that?
I added the meow.
So, yes.
The meow was my addition to this delightful poem.
Oddly beautiful. Animals and drinking. Why not?
I could have written that. Oh, do you know how much I love a West Coast IPA?
Are
you aware?
You've mentioned it several times.
It's a deep, deep love, and it's a dying art form. But
as we keep saying, because it's especially for us living and growing up in New England. I mean, we're used to the New England juicy IPA, like getting the West Coast style. I mean, you know, you live in California, like. Getting it there, I'm sure, is awesome. But like every time we get our hands on it, it's always like, oh, it's a little treat. You know what I mean?
It's hard to find even in California. And I would just like to say, it's snowing in New England right now, and
the weather outside is definitely frightful. Let me tell you something.
And I'm in a place where I'm really loathing New England today. I really hate this weather so much. I don't know why anyone would choose of their own accord to live on this God-forsaken coast. And
shout out to all the people who didn't post a photo of the weather in their Instagram story. Like, guys, we get it. We all see the...
It's so beautiful.
It's not. We get it. We see what it looks like outside.
It's not.
Some people like it more than others. Present company excluded.
I'm boiling with rage about it. All right.
But here's what we can do.
I hate it.
We can drink a beer that reminds you of the West Coast.
Okay, that's great. There we go. So
let's do it.
All right, this is AleSmith's IPA. That's all it is. It's the West Coast IPA. It's a 7.25% ABV IPA. IBUs are around a 40 at the moment. SRM between 9 and 11, I would say. It's maybe even a little lighter than that. Pretty gold yellow color.
Steven, I have a theory on why you picked this beer.
Because I love West Coast IPAs?
No.
Or because of the colors of the can?
Because the color scheme reminds me of a certain football team.
Too soon, bro. Too soon.
I know, but tell me I'm wrong.
It does. It would have been really nice to drink this too soon. All right. Beer Advocate has it at a 94. Untapped has it at a 3.9. And if you're listening to the podcast, the beer can is green and gold. That's what Gabe is referring to.
Yes.
I realized that didn't translate very well via podcast. So let's dive into it. But it's really highly rated. They've been brewing this for years, and it's just, well, from the brewery, they even say it's one of the all-time highest rated IPAs on Rate Beer. It's back for its 25th anniversary, and it is better than ever. Bursting with massive hop aromas of grapefruit, pine, and tropical fruits from huge additions of Columbus and Citra, this classical IPA is perfectly balanced by a healthy malt backbone and smooth, bitter finish, the way it should be.
It's very, very see-through, very, very clear, very, very bright orangey glow to it. I really love the color scheme. You know, as you can see, the head retention. It was a lot thicker earlier when we first poured it. It took a while for it to get this low, and even then, it's like it had a nice fluffy head to it.
Not much lacing to speak of, but definitely decent head retention. And like Gabe said, it's clear, which is, you know, the defining characteristic, one of them, of a West Coast IPA. It's not hazy. It doesn't look juicy, cloudy, anything like that. It's a clear, I can see you through it.
Literally, though. And it smells like a West Coast style, 100%. It's very hoppy, but it's got a lot of those flavorful aromas, you know, that grapefruit and pine, as they said. You know, it's definitely there.
The citrus in there is soft. Ooh. It's peach. You know, it's not it's not that grapefruit like bitter citrus as much. It's peach,
it's not like
pineapple.
Lemon. Yeah, it's very just straightforward. Like kind of what you said, the peach, maybe a little plum, maybe a hint of it.
Behind that, like you said, bite, herbal, grassy, hops coming through. You know, we don't know the hop profile of this guy.
There are a lot of info on the can. They say how to drink it. The serving temperature between 45 and 50. Pairs well with blue cheeses.
But not the hop profile. Come on,
yeah,
AleSmith.
But not the hops or the malts. Nothing that we use. But hey, we'll take what we can get at this point. So
the malts are probably like caramel or pale ale malts because.
Yeah.
But I say caramel because there's a sweetness to this. There's a little bit of like sap or honey or, you know, a little agave or something. Like it's a sweetness behind that soft peach, and you've got the bite of the hops and the earthiness. But there's definitely like,
yeah, I would agree with that. It's. I feel like it's going to be very. I was just about to say that, very pleasant, like especially on the taste.
Oh,
hopefully, we'll see.
I said resin, but
I think I said pleasant. I was going to say pleasant, but it has a little bit of that resin to it. So here she blows.
Cheers.
Delightful.
Oh yeah. All I get is bite. Not all I get. There's plenty going on in here, but it's that West Coast bite that I love so much. So there's citrus up front for sure. You definitely get the, you know, little bits of, it's not all of the sweet citrus that you smell. When you smell it, you get more, I think, like peach and pineapple, like I was saying. In the mouth, I think it's more traditional orange grapefruity, but when you swallow it, man, the back of your palate is just blasted with hop bite that I love, that resin,
a little bit of bitterness. And now that you say, every time you say resin, I think of 6 Points resin.
I know.
And it's 100% there. From the lacing, you can tell it's definitely sticking a little bit right there. It does
have some lacing, yeah.
But yeah, it's again, what do we always say? Taste is one thing, nose is the other thing. Like it smells a lot more smoother than it's going to be when you taste it. You know, it's not like, oh man, it's so strong. It's not like that, but it's definitely got the bite is strong. The bite bites you on the ass.
Yeah.
I'm confident in that.
You took the words right out of my mouth there. The malt plays second fiddle here. You don't taste it really at all. what you're just kind of taking over. I mean, this is a hop bomb. Like, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
If you like IPAs, this is it. And if you don't like IPAs, this isn't going to get you there. This is going to be everything you hate about IPAs. If you don't,
if you like IPAs, this is it. If you like West Coast style, this is it. I mean, this is
honestly, this should be the business card for West Coast IPAs because this is.
Oh yeah,
this is what it is. I'm a little surprised by the stat that they gave us of 40 IBUs because the resin. You brought up the resin, and the resin is a double IPA, and we know that, but that has, I believe, 120, if I'm remembering that correctly. And so if this only has 40, I mean, I don't know that there's a 2/3% despair. Like,
I would say it's. I agree. I think it's more than 40, but I don't think it's like even close to 120. I think the bite is there and the resin is there, but it's not like. I don't know. It's not like I always just compare it to like Road to Ruin from Two Roads. Like the Road to Ruin is like, whoo, and this is more of like, oh yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
But it is a more smoother because it's the West Coast style.
But I mean, at 7.25% ABV, I would put this at 75 IBUs. Just on taste, that would be my guess.
100%. Yeah,
that's
I would
not
do that
the information they gave us, so maybe I'm just dead wrong. But I'm just telling you how it tastes, and it's very, very bitter.
I don't think I've ever. I think this is the first time we've had a beer on the show that the ABV was 3 numbers, 7.25, as opposed to like 7.2.
I was thinking that when I put this doc together, I was like, that's very specific.
Yeah, I like it though. That's awesome. Yeah. We want the accurate information. So
exactly because we tell the truth here on the Hop. We're here about accurate analysis.
As accurate as best we can.
Yeah. The carbonation is not remarkable in either direction. It's just a mid-normal carbonation. The defining characteristic of it, I'll say again, is a bite. But I think it's really well balanced. I think it's slick and flavorful. I think it's a little sticky in the mouth, and that lingers. I mean, like when I put it down for a bit, like I'm thirsty right now. I want another sip.
You could tell I just keep sipping on it.
Yeah, and it's because there's that lingering bitterness that just makes you want to keep going back for more, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't know that I would consider this like, oh yeah, just drink it in the summer, West Coast style, da-da-da. I mean, I don't know where to put this on the seasons chart, you know what I mean? I could see myself drinking this on the back porch of a nice summer day. I could see myself drinking this in the ski lodge. Why are we at a ski lodge? I don't know.
You know why? There. You know why? Because this was brewed by people who understand that seasons suck and you should move to a place that doesn't have any, such as San Diego or Los Angeles, and live a normal life like civilized human beings.
Totally. I completely agree.
Do you feel my rage? Is it coming through on the podcast? I do.
And for someone who grew up, have you always felt this way?
No, I didn't until
you moved.
I moved and I realized that there's a better way of life. And
moving to California ruined it for you.
It really did. I joke about it, but like I tell people, when I was there 6 months after that, coming back here, I never, I don't want it to drop below 30. I hate it, and I hate the snow so much. You can't drive, you can't go anywhere. We all just hunker into our houses like this is normal, and we just sit here waiting for it to stop, and then we go outside and work for 5 hours to dig ourselves out of a hole that we'll be buried in again. It is primitive. We live like Fred Flintstone. We should all move to California.
Well, California needs water, and not to make light of this, but they had some fire problems, so it's not the safest place in the world. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but from a comfortability standpoint, outside of that, don't bring that up. Don't rain on my parade with negative news.
Yeah, okay.
You know what's funny though?
Yeah, we had enough negative news earlier.
You know what's funny though? New England, on the grand scheme, even if we just talk about the United States, forget other parts of the world, because how American is that? But New England is actually temperate. Like, we have a friend who just moved to Minnesota, and I was like, that's like, isn't that like plug your car in to make sure it starts in the morning cold? Like, that's a different cold. And
yes, that is a different cold. It's like Chicago. Like, I have friends there. That's like, they're like, oh yeah, it's, you know, back in October when it was like sunny here in New York, they were like, oh yeah, it's snowing. This is normal. I was like, Jesus.
Apparently it's snowing there too. And I saw a picture of Lake Michigan today, just covered in ice, and it was gray, but the ice was broken. The waves were rocking. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen. Like, if I was that person taking that picture, I'd be like, we are in the apocalypse.
Click, we got it. Let's
go. We need to leave.
Yeah. We need to go get beer. I need a drink.
All right. That's enough of that. Anyway,
Getting back to the beer. This is, as you mentioned, one of their year-round selections, and it is very good, and I really like it. And I wish, this is another one. I wish I had 3 more of these.
Let's talk about AleSmith for just a bit, because they are, as I mentioned, this is one of those companies that's kind of just been churning them out for a long time. Like, it's a stalwart. It's been around since the 90s.
95, baby.
But, before the craft beer boom. I mean, it's just been there, and it's been independent that whole time, and it's just been churning out great beer. And like, it's definitely smaller than like a Sierra Nevada, but it's that company that's been around churning out craft beer since before it was cool, long before the boom, and their beers are just as good today. It's
they're doing it their way, and their establishment. It's, we love to see that. So yeah, it's really awesome to see.
So we've mentioned a few times, are out of San Diego.
You stay classy, San Diego.
They were founded by Skip Virgilio and Ted Newcomb in 1995. Skip was the original brewmaster. In 2002, the company was taken over by Grand Master Judge and decorated home brewer Peter Zien. He is still the CEO today. So he was the head brewmaster for a while. I don't think that's his job at the moment, but he is the CEO. In 2008, the company was awarded Small Brewing Company and Brewer of the Year at the Gabe, the Great American Beer Festival.
At the Gabe minus a letter.
And that kind of skyrocketed them, took them to another level. They increased their brewing capacity from a 15-barrel system that they were working on to a 30-barrel system. They're now working on a 80-barrel system, so they've grown a little bit. In 2015, the company added a 25,000 square foot brewery and tasting room near their original location, and that at the time it was the largest beer tasting room in San Diego. Don't know if that still is. And here's a fun fact: that original brewery that they moved out of is now McKellar San Diego. So
another brewery we've had on the show who we absolutely loved.
Yes. The Gypsy Brewers.
They've expanded quite a bit. They've, really done it their way. And going off of all of that, one of the coolest things is, like other breweries, they have their own little membership premium club things, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it.
I'm thinking about joining it, to be honest.
I was just about to say that. Are you kidding me? This place sounds incredible. It's called Order of the Anvil. It's a membership for all sorts of beers you can't get normally, like at the brewery. They're all specific items, and it just comes with everything. It's their beer club. It's entering their 4th year. They're bringing the biggest, baddest, and best barrel-aged beers AleSmith has to offer.
Exclamation point!
Yes, sir. We like
that. That's what we're all about. It's so cool. It's so awesome. If you join as a member, you get 11 bottles. You get 9 750 milliliter size bottles and 2 375s. They are member exclusive barrel aged bottles in all different kinds of beers that, again, are not for the public. You get merchandise. You get 15% off of purchasing their swag. You get swag. You get, the updates, and you get the first shout outs, and anytime they come out with something new, you're the first person to hear about it. They have all different kinds of stuff and all different kinds of swag, and these beers sound incredible.
Okay, so let's go. Let's each name a favorite or two. I'm gonna go first, so you can't steal mine.
Oh boy,
Heavy Forge, Maple Van Edition.
I knew you were gonna pick that. I knew it.
Imperial Stout aged in vanilla extract barrels and maple syrup barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, big ups, the hands. I mean, wow.
This one isn't necessarily a favorite, but it's one of my favorites. It's called Gianna's Brouhaha. It's a rye wine aged in bourbon barrels and rye whiskey barrels, and it's named after Order of the Anvil member Richard Dickinson's late wife, Gianna Dickinson. I thought that was pretty dope.
That is nice. I'll throw one more out there. It's one of their Braggot barley wines, and it's a bottle of Braggot barley wine ale aged in port wine barrels with mulatto forest honey and Aurora blossom honey. That's
I'm dead.
I don't know how to. How would you say that? It's Aroeira.
Aurora.
No, my brother lives in Aurora. That's Arora.
Aurora. I don't know. Aurora. Oh boy. Okay.
Anyway,
and then
honey.
Yeah, finish your thought.
There's honey in it.
Barley wine. And then the last one I wanted to throw out, Lost Prophet Hawaiian Layover. Imperial Stout aged in rye whiskey barrels with vanilla beans, coconut, and cacao nibs. Come on!
Good Lord. So...
like, how do we join?
I mean...
Can we go to San Diego? I hear it's the weather. I hear it's nice there.
It is.
And...
Yeah.
I mean, you get mugs. You get custom-made bottle openers. You will get... this like coffee, you know, those Yeti coffee mugs that like keep something cold for 12 hours.
Yep.
You get a custom made one of those. I mean, 15% off merch. I mean, it's just everything. And it's stuff that not everyone else can get. And it sounds incredible. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I did see the words Cellar Dweller together. I think it was the name of a beer, but like, we've seen other breweries have that, and it just makes me want to make a drop of us just saying, Cellar Dweller!
Honestly, we could rename this show, Put It in a Barrel with Gabe and Steven. I just want the YouTube listeners and you to appreciate this for a second, just how my green screen reacts to this green can. There's a hole in me.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that. It's just like, it's like you're in the can.
Just a little wholesome fun for the viewers. Podcast listeners are left out, but they can go to YouTube.
I don't know how you're feeling, but I've got a slight buzz going, and I ate before this.
That's kind of upsetting because this next one is a little bit of a behemoth.
Oh boy. Yeah, this next one is gonna put us over the top. Anything else before we get to that, anything else to say about the Order of the Anvil and or the brewery?
The Order of the Anvil is one of the sexiest things that I've seen in 2021. And if you're a member of it, we want to hear from you. And I just hope it comes with a card. And I hope the card is made of like titanium or something. Like, I hope it's like something that makes you feel important. And as for the IPA...
something that will destroy your credit cards.
Yeah. And as for the IPA, there is nothing else for me to say other than this is a picture perfect West Coast IPA. This is as good, I think, as the style can be done. Straight shooting, no twists or turns on this one. It's it's exactly what you want when you're like, you know what? I just need a solid IPA right now. That's my thoughts.
My final thoughts are, first, Harry Potter and the Order of the Anvil. Someone had to say it. Somebody had to say it. The Order of the Anvil sounds incredible. The brewery sounds incredible. I would love to visit. I obviously we would love to visit every brewery we feature on the show, and most of them we have. But, you know, given the location and the time and whatnot, we're not always able to. I feel like, I don't know, I just get like a party vibe off of this brewery. Like, I don't know, maybe it's the website, I don't know. But I get a very like yo, come hang out. This is gonna be fun. Look at Steven. You look like you're having the time of your life in that brewery right now.
They have a very beautiful spot, and if you're over on YouTube, you can see it behind me. And this is that 25,000 square foot tap room. It's a giant, great curving bar, like big, zigzagging kind of bar. Clearly, just a beautiful open space that's not open right now, but it will be again someday, and we could go
be soon. This IPA is incredible. I'm running out. I wish I had more. I'm going to steal some from your house when I see you for the Super Bowl.
Well, cleanse your palate because we have another beer coming.
Oh boy, here we go. Mama didn't raise no bitch, so we're going to go do it. Let's do it.
Okay. It has been a while since we had a Russian Imperial Stout on the hop.
Yes. And now we have what AleSmith Brewing is calling the Speedway Stout. Yeah. Sorry, I really wanted to do that. It is an Imperial Stout with coffee, and it looks incredible. I poured it, and listen, you want a stout? That is a stout.
Yeah, this is
holy balls.
This is jet black, had a beautiful pillow of tan head on it, and this is a beast. As we mentioned, this is let's just say it. It's 12%.
12%.
So
it is gonna knock us out on our asses, but that's okay. We're strong and we're here for it, and we're gonna do it. 70 IBUs to speak of,
which is what the brewery claims. Now, you explain to me that we haven't tasted it yet, but that IPA that we just had that was very bitter has 40 IBUs. This has 70. I mean, we'll see.
We'll get back to you. We'll report. We'll do our job.
But I think the big news on this one is that Beer Advocate has it rated at a 97, which on Beer Advocate is considered world class.
Yes.
That's dope. And a 4.19 on Untapped, which...
Yes, so we reached the 4-point Untapped rating, so, I mean, we're doing something
which means
right.
It's world class.
Yeah. I think there was one other episode where we had Beer Advocate. We had a 98 Beer Advocate rating. I think it was the North Coast...
Russian Imperial Stout?
I think it was that one. So maybe they really like Russian Imperial Stouts. I don't know. It looks incredible. I can smell the coffee from here. I mean, it can't get any darker than this. This is just a solid 40 on the SRM scale. I got a classic pint glass. Steven's got his little chalice there. That looks dope.
Yeah, drinking out of a tulip glass. I can already tell that there's just a lot of lacing on this. This has a lot of legs. This is sticky. This is boozy. This is a slow sipper. This is one you want to be careful with. And it's very popular with them. They have, we see this with a lot of breweries that have these Imperial Stouts, but they have multiple iterations of it, which we'll get into, versions they barrel age, versions they add fun other things to. And this is also in the year-round category. Just from the brewery, the way they describe it, Speedway Stout's ominous pitch black appearance has become a hallmark of this modern-day classic. Chocolate and roasted malts dominate the flavor, supported by notes of dark fruit, toffee, and caramel. A healthy dose of locally roasted coffee added to each batch brings out the beer's dark chocolate flavors and enhances its drinkability. Despite its intensity, Speedway Stout's fine carbonation and creamy mouthfeel make it very smooth and surprisingly easy to drink. This beer ages very well and will continue to mature for many years to come.
And you're doing it right, because according to the can, they're saying to drink it out of a goblet or a little chalice like you have. So you're doing it right. And it also pairs well with blue cheeses.
What doesn't?
Right?
I feel like after that description, we don't even need to do this tasting. We could just wrap this podcast up right now. They told you everything you need to know. They covered mouthfeel. They covered tasting notes. They covered carbonation. I mean...
Watch it all be a lie. We try it and we're like, why does it taste like fruit? Like I said, I can smell the coffee from here. I mean, it doesn't get any stronger than that. I mean, I might even say espresso at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the most important word that they use to me is ominous, because that's how I feel about this. It's intimidating. It's scary. But I'm also excited for it, and I'm just going to dip my nose into it if you don't mind.
You do that, and I will talk about what I smell. I mean, the chocolate is definitely there. It's got a lot of booziness, but it's also got a lot of creaminess to it. And creaminess is in the sense of like chocolate and vanilla. It smells very coffee dessert, not dessert beer, but dessert-esque. It's got that kind of familiarity to it. I've been drinking. I'm so sorry.
Nope.
Yeah, it's
Still
definitely.
Didn't nail it.
It's definitely a hardcore stout. And I'm very excited for it. Nice tan head, about a centimeter thick, as you can kind of see. And as Steven mentioned, definitely a lot of lacing. It's filled up top, but I mean, you can tell right away it's there.
So what I get off it, obviously the first thing you're going to get is chocolate, coffee, espresso. That's to be expected. There is a sweetness to it. There is a good bit of vanilla in there. Like Gabe said, I get a lot of booze for sure. You can tell this is going to be boozy. It has a warming quality to it. There's a little bit of what I might characterize as resin, a little hoppiness, a little like dankness, a little bit of something. And then there's also a lot of fruit in there to me. That's what I'm enjoying more than anything, is like you do smell the chocolate, but once you get past it, there's some raspberry, there's some strawberry, there's some cherry, there's some stuff in that world, that sort of Valentine's Day fruit, that I think is really nice. Maybe some licorice and some spiciness. I've just rattled off a lot, but there's a lot going on in here. This is an intense imperial stout, and the nose is extremely complex. So let's
get into it. Let's see.
What do you always say, Mama?
Mama didn't raise no bitch.
Thank you.
Let's get into it, and let's see how many of those flavors we can find. Wow.
I saw it. I saw it on your face. I felt it in my mouth. I saw it. We're on the same page.
Oh, yeah. What?
We have to describe it for people, but we're on the same page. Yeah. This is...
What if we didn't? What if we were just like...
Go look on YouTube.
If you want to know what it's like, go drink it.
What? It's what's amazing is that the first thing that hits you in the mouth is not the chocolate coffee espresso. It's not all of that.
No, not at all. It's like that the bite, but I'm getting a lot of the berry flavors that you mentioned. Like I'm getting a lot of that on the stout taste. It tastes like a stout, but they're all there. And look at that. You wouldn't think.
Yeah, this is like a wave of berries riding in on a tidal wave of roasted malt. I mean, is there a malty bitterness to it? Absolutely. A sturdy malt background, but you get a lot more sweetness, a lot more clean things in the mouth. Like I think if I was gonna characterize a chocolate element to it, I would say dark chocolate, or like, it's not that sweet chocolate thing. It's more like dark chocolate. It's more like iced coffee. The booziness is intense and real and present and delicious.
I don't know that the booziness is like knocking me over the head though. It's there. Be careful because it's 12%, but I don't know that I'm like, oh man, that's strong. It's more of like, oh yeah, there's something that, you know what I mean?
I think it's more of a feel thing for me. Like when I drink it, it feels warming in my mouth. Like in the mouth, it doesn't necessarily feel, I guess it feels creamy. It's got a gentle carbonation and a lot of rich flavors, but it feels full-bodied. It feels strong. It feels warming. It's not a flavor thing. Like I don't taste alcohol the way I would off something that was
I think that's what I mean too.
But do I taste?
I can't get over that berry flavor. It's there. I don't know if it's cherry or raspberry, but it's something. It's a hint of sweetness that pairs well with the chocolate and with the booziness and with the roasted malts and with the coffee, and it kind of tastes like if you had a chocolate milkshake and dumped like a shot of like whiskey in it or something. Like it tastes like an alcoholic milkshake almost without the like thickness.
Yeah, and the more I drink it, I actually do. I almost taste like vodka off this, if I'm being very honest. Like,
really?
If you hold it in the back of your mouth, like, yeah, I do taste like a sharp bit of like clean booziness. I think vodka is a good comp, and here's why. This is not. I taste like earthy characters. I taste some tobacco, some oak for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't taste like, it's not like when you drink like a bourbon barrel aged thing where you taste a lot of that sweet, like bourbon-y thing.
Right.
And when you drink vodka, which, side note, is a useless spirit that
can't
doesn't
remember
need
the
to
last
exist.
time I did, but continue.
Yeah, it's useless, but it's really clean. Like you get a mouthfeel of alcohol, but essentially in your mouth you get like a clean thing. And that's what I get off this more than I was expecting. I was expecting much more chocolate, much more coffee, much more flavorful things happening inside my mouth. And the defining characteristic is this like chilled, clean thing that is intense.
And what's
with all those
interesting
flavors
is
happening, but that's what I'm noticing.
Right. I was just about to say that, like, that's what's so interesting. It's like they're all there. The chocolate is there. The coffee is there, but it's not. It does feel very clean. And at 70 IBUs, all right, let's go back to it now. 70 IBUs, what do you think? Because I would argue, I want to say maybe a little less.
I mean, yeah, I would say a little less than 70. If you told me there were 40 in here, I'd be like, that's a lot for a stout, and that would make sense.
See, like, yeah, this is, I would give this like 45, 50. I don't know if I'd give this 70.
But it has a surprising bit of bite. I think it's really well balanced. I think the coffee that's in there definitely enhances the flavor and also helps to kind of balance it out. And I think what the brewery said, you know, it's got a fine carbonation, as I mentioned. It's got a creamy mouthfeel. It is surprisingly smooth. It is surprisingly easy to drink. As much as I'm talking about the booziness of it, I don't think that you take a sip of it and you're like, oh, that's like I just took a shot. Like, no, it's balanced. It's well done. I could put this in a cellar if I had a cellar for a year, and I bet what comes out on the other side would be even better.
I would love to see different variations of this. Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to see what kind of barrels would change this if they, added one ingredient more than the other. I love that it's made. It's not like an imperial stout that tastes like coffee. It's an imperial stout with coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a coffee flavoring. There's coffee in it, which just helps balance out those flavors. Again, it's like we're talking about so many different flavors. We talked about bitterness. We talked about tobacco and oak and licorice and earthiness. We talked about roasted malts. We talked about chocolate, coffee, espresso, and booziness and berries. And all of that's in here, and yet it's not overwhelming. It's not cloying. It's not anything like that. But it is a slow sipper. It is definitely an intense beer. If you're not a stout lover, this is not for you. And I think it's fate that we didn't know the weather, but I think it's fate that we're drinking this today because it is a horrendous storm where we are because we're in the wrong part of the country. And this is the perfect beer for that. It's warming me up. It's like I'm nestled by the fire.
Nestled by the fire with a blanket and with a very fun, significant other who also loves this drink. This is in your PJs. This is when it's a blizzard outside and the governor of your state says, don't go anywhere. Okay, I'll stay inside and I'll have one of these. I mean, this is absolutely perfect for it. And, once we wrap here, I mean, this is another one. I only got one of these. I will take my time with this puppy. Yeah. And this'll join me for my after podcast dinner that I need to have, because if I don't, I'll pass out.
I have several more of these, and I probably will hold on to them for the better part of the next 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to. It's very, the perfect word, it's bold. It's very, very bold in the best way. It's just like, Oh, it's such kick-ass. AleSmith Brewing.
So real quick, before we move on, they just have, they have plenty of other beers to speak of. We've mentioned that they have other versions of the Speedway Stout. Some they age with, they age in barrels, some with...
One made with espresso and Madagascar vanilla. And this one looks a little bit different, but it has very similar qualities. It's also 12%. But I saw this on the site and I was like, oh man, if we could get our hands on this, then I would love to compare that to this one. You know what I mean? It just looks incredible.
They have several new additions to their year-round lineup starting this month, starting in February. That would be the Cloudstream Hazy IPA, the Limeberry Twist Goza Ale, and the Kickback Relax, that's one word, Kickback Relax IPA. Kickback Relax IPA. So those are all new to the year-round lineup, and they're basically broken down like that. They've got year-rounds, they have specialty beers, they have seasonals, they have a number of collabs with a number of breweries, including Modern Times.
They collab a lot, which is really odd. We love that, but they collab a lot, which is awesome.
And then our favorite category, the barrel-aged beers. We love very dearly. They have a wee heavy. I feel like, did we have another brewery that had a beer called Wee Heavy, or is that just me? Did we talk about this before? Wee Heavy Ale. It just sounds really familiar.
I don't think so, but I mean, I'm sure we've had other beers or talked about other beers that have compared to it.
It just sounds really familiar, but it's their Scotch style ale that's barrel aged. Nice. I love those.
I can't get over this English style brown ale. It's called Nut Brown.
Nut Brown.
For some reason, that just makes me laugh.
They got a Mexican lager. They got Pilsners. They got some dope IPAs. And they've got a
raspberry tart ale called Forgeberry.
Collab with Pizza Port. Collab with Modern Times, as I mentioned. And a collab with Weathered Souls, which is cool because that's in Texas. So that's interesting that they made their way to collab with Weathered Souls on a beer called Diego Antonio. Plenty of beers on
aged.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty to check out with AleSmith Brewing. If you haven't delved into AleSmith's beers, you've probably heard of them, especially if you're in California, but they are all over the place. And you should grab yourself some of these beers, especially this Speedway Stout. This is
yeah. It's really incredible. It's very flavorful, and I based off of what we've had and based off of what is listed on their site, I mean, I feel like they're very focused on the complex flavors and the complex styles. I don't know if I would say they have something for everyone, but if you're a hardcore beer head, I mean, this is the place to go to. I mean, they've got all this just crazy concoctions, and they all sound amazing. And these two have been incredible.
They're close, though. I mean, they got barrel aged, they got lagers, pilsners, they got Oktoberfest, they got brown ales, IPAs, double IPAs. They got a hazy IPA.
Yes, I was going to mention that they do have that Oktoberfest.
So they're in the sour game now.
Yeah,
with the Goza ale. I mean, they're getting there.
They got a lot. I kind of want to pick one from the two we've drinking, but I feel like because they're so different, it's kind of hard to.
I feel the exact same way. I'm like, we normally do that.
I don't want to be like, this one was my favorite out of the two. It's just it's kind of impossible. So they're both just so awesome.
I agree. I feel like I was going to ask you, and then I was like, you know what? The IPA is a fantastic, straightforward, up-the-line IPA, and I feel like we would both choose the Stout because how could we not? It's genius.
Go get these beers.
They're so good. They're so good. Really well done. All right,
we gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. Before we do, we're gonna spend a little time on a fun topic. What did we even land on?
Steven, you're watching a new or you saw a new documentary TV show.
Okay, all right.
It's a documentary.
Here's the deal. First of all, it's a documentary about Heaven's Gate. If you don't know what Heaven's Gate is, it's a cult, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with it for a long time. It's really weird. What happened was, and it's on HBO Max, and I understand that people don't know what HBO Max is. Like, what is it? They have their own originals, but it's also HBO, but it's not This is an HBO Max original, so if you can find your way to that, you should. But the point is that the Heaven's Gate people I have to figure out how I'm gonna say this and not be crass.
Do it. No, do it. Say it.
All right. The Heaven's Gate people. They were a cult in like the 80s,
freaking nuts. Say
the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they actually I don't know if they made it to the 90s. It's okay. It's the largest mass suicide in U.S. history. So that's the not fun part. 39 Americans killed themselves in a mansion because they wanted to go to their next life, I guess, in heaven or whatever. Now, they believed that their bodies they were living in, what they referred to as their vehicles, were simply vessels in which that were holding them back from achieving, like they thought there was a UFO behind the Hale-Bopp comet, which came crashing to Earth. They were going to go there on the UFO. It makes no sense. And here's the thing. When you watch the documentary, I highly recommend it. It's a documentary series. And if you're into documentaries, this is just, but the documentary, like the point of it is kind of like, oh, well, people dismiss them as crazy. But when you watch the documentary, it's kind of hard not to dismiss them as crazy. Like it's nuts. It's ridiculous. My favorite part, this is where it gets, but whatever, we're just going to talk about it.
Is it the singing?
No, although that was weird.
Okay.
No, my favorite or not favorite part is that at one point, I mean, the guy basically said to them, look, here's the rules. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do drugs, we don't have sex. We are, which, yeah, I mean, Gabe's face says it all. It's like, you just took away.
Go on. I didn't say anything. Go on.
You just removed the course list from. You took the menu away. I don't really know.
He took the fun list and he just burned it. Like, come on, man.
You took all the games out of the arcade there, buddy.
You and I standing in the background like, question.
Yeah, sir.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Can we get some verification?
But so some of them had sexual urges. And so the solution that they came up with was they needed to castrate themselves. And this is the thing. Like I'm really not trying to belittle it, but I am saying like I don't understand cults. I've never been in a cult. I don't understand how I don't really believe in anything that strongly. If the head of a cult, like if this beer in front of me, I love beer more than many things. And if this beer in front of me was the head of a cult, I still don't know that I would be on board. Like I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But if you were in a cult, when you found the day that you found yourself in the living room of a mansion with like a pocket knife to your gonads,
to your giblies,
wouldn't you think that might be the point?
Wouldn't you stop and say, "Hey, wait a minute"?
I don't know if this is this what we need? Like, I don't know.
Can we all just like take a beat and figure it out? Yeah, I think, that sounds, I haven't
It wasn't
seen this
until one
documentary.
guy was like on the table bleeding and swelling that they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. Like maybe,
oh my God,
maybe
that's
we took
what
it too far.
The thought didn't stop them, but they were like, oh yeah, maybe this sucks.
Right, but they thought it through. They put a sign over the room that said Mexico, so that if the authorities asked them later what had happened, they could honestly and truthfully, without lying, say, I went to Mexico to get this done.
Oh my God. Good Lord.
So they're not dumb.
Who are these people?
They're smart people. It's
I'm going, so I haven't seen this. I'm just going off of like what you've been telling me, and the best part of this whole thing was Steven sending me a Snapchat video of them singing. I don't remember what song it was, but it was
from The Sound of Music.
That's what it was. Oh yes, it was like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. But they like changed the words so that it's like just singing about
it's
the fact
their
that
religion.
Like we're gonna die soon, and it's like, oh my God, like it's just so dark and mysterious.
The guy that founded it, him and his partner, they called themselves Doe and T. So they took their names from that song in another version, they also called themselves Bo and Peep, which I would just say to you, like, if I'm ever in a meeting and someone says, "Hi, I'm Bo, this is Peep," I'm going to be like,
time out. What are we talking about?
I need to go.
Yeah, but I'm going to be like, I need a beer before we move on with this.
But the guy, so it's Doe and T, and that's where they took their name from. But so that song, the problem with it is a lot of things, but like to me, the problem was like the lyrics didn't also fit the song. So it was like the normal lyrics are like Doe, a deer, a female deer, Ray, a drop, right? But like this was like Doe is our leader who takes us to heaven. Ray is where we want to go when we get there because we want to meet the.
Didn't rhyme.
It didn't rhyme. It didn't fit. Like I'm bastardizing it, but it did not. It didn't line up at all. It was like. Is where we're gonna go when we visit the aliens in the sky. It was crazy.
Oh my goodness. Good Lord. This sounds like a lot.
I highly recommend it. It is a lot. It is a lot. And also I had just finished watching another TV show about cults, so it was like weirdly like opportune. But my friend and I just watched. I rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so my mind was kind of on this like cult, like exactly
murder type of deal. So then you mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should keep this train moving and watch it.
Exactly. They even mentioned that in this because but it's. I'm really not trying to belittle it. I really want to take it seriously. I'm just saying like it is hard to take it seriously when you watch it because you're like, yeah, I'm not just dismissing them as crazy, but like they left their they left their whole families and like didn't tell anyone where they were going, and they just like followed this guy around, and his videos seem crazy. Like none of it lines up, and like the poster that he used to recruit people was like, there are UFOs, this is not a hoax, and like we have the way to get to them. Come join Heaven's Gate. And I mean,
wow.
I think it was a different time. Like, I mean, I feel like if you were in there, like
when did this was in the 90s, 80s?
It was like 70s, 80s, maybe a little bit 90s, but mostly 70s, 80s. So there weren't cell phones. Like you couldn't like Snapchat a picture of the poster and be like, LOL. Like you just had to go to the meeting.
You couldn't Google it on your phone and be like, yeah, you're wrong.
Click, click. No. Yeah.
Steven, we're going to start a cult about beer, and we're going to get, if you're listening, you're already part of it. So
welcome to our cult. No, do not put that out there.
Yikes, all right. That sounds terrifying.
We have to go because we're going to be drinking this beer for the next 6 to 8 hours.
Pretty much.
Thank you for spending time with us. Once again, we hope you found it fun, entertaining, informative, and a good distraction from whatever is going on in your life right now. Follow, like, subscribe, all those things. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and whatnot. And as I say every week, we'll be back next week. We got another one coming up, so look forward to it.
We might be together next week.
Oh, yeah, we will be. Live.
That'll be fun. Cheers, guys.